You ready, Mike? Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Cliff Weiner. I am not the president of the POA. I was for 10 years. Our president is not here tonight. He's off having a good time playing golf in South Carolina. And our vice president had surgery this morning. So first on our agenda is a pledge to the flag, and then a moment of silence. Keep Dan Warren, our vice president, in your prayers, along with our military and first responders. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. See if I remember how to do this. Although this agenda is different than the way I used to do it, but that's okay. So, at the back, we have our friends from Realty Execs. We got Coop and my mind just went blank. Anyway, Annette. Nanette. She's back there. That's the only thing we have, I think, right now. Board members present. Gary Cato. Gary, raise your hand. Gary Search is a director. Tita Dominguez is a board member who's sitting in the front. And Karen O'Farrell is our secretary. So we got here tonight. Also, we have a couple of people that serve on other boards in the villages. So I see Mark Hayes here, who's a District 4 supervisor. I see Gary Cato, who's District 5 supervisor and the chairman of that board. And I am the chairman of the District 4 Board of Supervisors also. So with that being said, in the back of the room on the table, we have some POA fans and some tote bags. Help yourself. We got a storage locker full of them that I'd like to get rid of. A reminder that on July 2nd, we're going to have our second annual bingo at Everglades Rec Center. Doors open at 6:30. You need to register. You need to send an email to poabingo1@gmail.com. You'll get a response back that you registered. Members, paid members whose dues are paid as of July 2nd will get 2 free cards. Guests will not. Our first one was highly successful, and I will tell you that the last game we played, the 10th game, we played 10 games. We'll pay at least $250, depending on how many people. If we sell it out and we can have 225 people attend, according to the rec center, it'll be over $400. So if you have friends or people that are interested in playing bingo, I don't know, anybody here play the last time? Did you have a good time? Okay. So it was well run. I think it was our first one. Our second one will be better, I hope. Up and coming meetings. Next month, Gary, where are you? Come here, Gary. Next month, the June 16th, and just so you know, Laurel Manor is closed for air conditioning replacement. We'll be closed May, June, and July. So our next meeting is at Hacienda, and in July, we're back here again. August, we'll be back at Laurel Manor, just so you know. So Gary's going to tell you what our June meeting's about.
Our June meeting will not be our normal POA meeting. Our June meeting is dedicated to patriotism. So we are going to have a very special speaker coming in. Oh, sorry about that. On video, I keep forgetting. Anyway, we're going to have a very special speaker coming in. We're having a color guard. We're going to have the ladies from the Women Veterans, Tri-County Women Veterans, present the colors, sing the Star Spangled Banner. And then our guest will be Colonel Harry Lumpkin, United States Army. If you don't know who Colonel Lumpkin is, he is an amazing man. He served in Vietnam. He served in Desert Storm, all of the Desert Storm wars, and Desert Shield, and you name it. He was the direct adjutant logistics officer at that time to the people that were in command of that. I can't go into all the names and stuff. There's a bunch of them. But he is a brilliant speaker. He can tell you some pretty interesting stories. And if anybody is a patriot, it's Harry Lumpkin. So that's what we're dedicating the evening to. I hope you enjoy it. If you know veterans, if you have neighbors want to come, we would love to pack the place. I think you'll really have a good time. We got some special stuff.
Thank you, Gary. In July at Rohan back here, Bradley Arnold will be here, Sumter County Administrator. Will be talking about the 2026-2027 budget for Sumter County. The budget will be approved that morning. So every year when we do this, he's got a busy day. That's a 4-hour meeting usually, and then he comes here at night and gives us his time. In August, we're back at Laurel Manor, and we're going to have Dr. Norman Anderson on low-dose radiation treatment. In September, we're back at Laurel Manor, and we're going to have Dr. Curtis on Alzheimer's research. So before we get to the speaker, something I used to do that hasn't been done for a while, but does anybody in the audience have any kind of problem or question they'd like to bring before the POA? And I will try and answer it. So if Tita and Gary would take a mic. Raise your hand if you do. I know there's a lady sitting in the back that had, well, I'll answer the question. Her question was she sent us a help desk ticket and wanted to know why the chairs were disappearing from the square. First of all, we have nothing to do with that. That's an entertainment department. The entertainment department is controlled by the developer, but it was a liability issue, okay? And that's why they did what they did. It's unfortunate, but things change, and when liability becomes an issue and you have to worry about lawsuits, you take your time and you have to do things differently. So that's the reason why, just so you know. Anybody else got a question? Tita? Or somebody? And the only reason you need to speak into the mic is we're recording the meeting.
Yes, sir. Does anyone have any additional information or clarification about the proposed annexation of a portion of District 9 by City of Wildwood?
That's you just caught me off guard. I'm pretty savvy to some of the stuff that's going on. I have not heard that at all. Do you know what part of District 9 they are talking about?
That's what I'm asking there.
Where did you hear that, can I ask?
Just read that in a publication, and it's
Social
actually,
media?
No.
No?
And it's actually, they're going to have, it was a hearing announcement. There are 2 hearings that are coming up in the City of Wildwood with regard to this annexation, and you can view what the proposal is over there, again, at the City of Wildwood government building. But right now, nobody's clear with regard to whether it's just going to be undeveloped real estate in District 9 or whether it's going to encompass any established.
I will make some calls tomorrow, and we will put an answer in the magazine that comes out on the 1st of June, so you can get an answer.
We get a lot of new surprises in the villages here all the time.
That's a surprise.
And also the gentleman I was talking about the last time with Harry Lumpkin is Colin Powell. He and Colin Powell were together during all of those wars, so he's got some pretty
Anybody
interesting
else?
stuff to share.
Raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, we'll go into our speaker. David Castro is our speaker, and I have a little bio here. David Castro is the Director of Sumter County Emergency Management. David is responsible for coordinating the county's emergency preparedness activities. These activities include disaster planning, training, and education, exercise design, and emergency response. He and his staff also facilitate recovery and mitigation programs in the aftermath of an emergency. David has 37 years of experience in the emergency management field in various emergency management positions. During his career, he has responded to several natural disasters and technology emergencies throughout the world. David is a member of the International Association of Emergency Managers and the Florida Emergency Preparedness Association. He is certified as a Florida Professional Emergency Manager and a Certified Emergency Manager. He has a bachelor's degree in Human Resources from Park University and a master's degree in Organizational Management from the University of Phoenix. So he's highly qualified. He's done a great job in my 24 years of being here in the villages and being involved with Sumter County as I have. So with that said, the ball game's yours.
All right, let's get this going. Which is more it does it like that. Okay. You hear me okay back there? I think I have to eat the microphone. You hit the lights. Okay, great. So I'm, well, you heard my bio. I might have to stand here. You know, it's after 7 o'clock tonight. We had Mother's Day. I am glad I'm here tonight. I am just glad. I talked to my wife the other day, and I said, hey, what do you want for your birthday? Well, I'm glad to be here tonight. You know, when you get, you're married for so long, you do the card and the flowers and maybe a dinner. But I didn't forget. I just asked her, you know, what she wanted. She said she wanted something that goes from 0 to 250 in 5 seconds. And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, I can make that happen. 0 to 250, 5 seconds. That's, you know, we see those all the time. But I'm glad I'm here tonight. Because when I came home, we got up this morning, I just heard a crash, and I saw this bunch of metal, twisted plastic and metal, and I'm looking at it, and she was very upset. And she goes, "That's not what I wanted." I said, "It goes from 0 to 250 in 5 seconds, and it's smart. It tells you your weight. It tells you, you know, it keeps track, keeps you on the internet. I got a smart digital scale." So there's all kinds of emergencies out there that we go through. And that's my little headliner to kick things off. So you heard my bio. I'm not going to go too much into that. But what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about what I do, one, and then we'll get into hurricane preparedness. So the first thing, what is emergency management? What is the emergency management director? Here in the state of Florida, unlike a lot of other states, we have a different kind of an emergency management program. Ours is based on the county, at the county level, whereas if you go to the north, you know, Midwest and things of that nature, you'll see it mostly based at the municipal or city level, and the county supports it. It's opposite here. I'm not going to get into the entire history. If you're interested, maybe we can talk after the presentation, but every county has an emergency management program. Every county has an emergency management director like me. And we have a lot of other things we have to fulfill. We have to have a shelter program. We have to have a comprehensive emergency management plan, which you would call a disaster plan, and so on. And that's what I do, you know, day in and day out. I that and plenty of other things. I am the county emergency management director. I do have an assistant director, and you all have in the villages an emergency management coordinator at the village's public safety department. We all work hand in hand very well. And that's all we do. We're the ultimate pessimists. We think about all the bad things that can happen and try to develop plans and procedures to respond. And then we do some training with our first responders, how to do it. We do some drills, exercises, evaluations, and develop more plans and review plans and help other people do planning. So what we're going to talk about today is more about hurricane preparedness, but everything I'm going to say today is good for just about any type of emergency that we can have. So the first question is, how many are native Floridian? Wow. How many have gone through, and when I ask this, how many really have gone through a hurricane? Okay. How many have gone through a blizzard or an ice storm? That's more hands. That's the same thing. Just ours is wet. Yours is cold. But the preparedness and the things I'm going to talk about are all about the same thing. It's just kind of knowing a little bit about the hazards and things associated with it. So let me get my clicker. And I hate blocking your view. Can everybody see the slide okay? Okay. Because he's recording me, and this is pretty much the best spot to be in. Oh, and I need one more thing. Everything I'm going to talk about pretty much is in this brochure. I'm not going to read the brochure to you, so don't worry about that. I'm not going to read the slides to you. And in fact, I'm not even going to do the things you might think I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to you in real terms because I think that's more important. I can tell you that, what you need in your supply kit and those kinds of things, but you could probably, it sounds like most of you gone through something before where you've had some experiences, but everything I'm going to talk about for the most part is in this guide. And if it's not in the guide, chances are it's on our website. So if you haven't got a copy of it, there's a couple left, so get it before you leave today. So excuse me. There are 7 key messages I want to go through. And this is standard. This is standard throughout the state of Florida, and it's becoming standard throughout the United States in terms of emergency preparedness public messaging. So the first thing is you need to understand the hazards that are associated with Sumter County, the villages. And if you live in Lake and Marion, that's fine. It's all the same. The second key message is you need to make a plan, get a kit, get an insurance checkup, and I'll talk a little bit more on that. We've already had one question about that. Stay informed. That's very, very important. Strengthen the home. Even though you think you live in the villages and you got a nice Anderson window home and all that, you still have to do some protection. And then neighbor helping neighbor, and you're used to those. So let me first start out by saying this is, again, hurricane-centric, tropical cyclone-centric, because to me a tropical cyclone goes from a tropical depression all the way to a Category 5. But this time of year is when things start to kick off. Starting in June 1st, that's when hurricane season starts, and it goes 6 months through November 30th. That's 6 months out of the year. And what I'm going to show here, I don't know if this is going to show up. Okay, yep. We are right about here right now, and you can see there's a little uptick. And this is 200 years worth of recorded history. So what this means is that on certain days of the month throughout the hurricane season, we saw tropical cyclone activity start to, develop on these days and these months. So, for example, this is about where we're at right now. If you look out in the Atlantic Ocean right now, there's a nice sized tropical wave that's spinning. It's not going to become a hurricane, but it's just the beginning of what we're going to see this year. And then, of course, we look at the middle of the season, what we call the middle, September 11th, September 10th. That is the peak of the hurricane season. So you can see starting around the 3rd week in August, that's when things really start to heat up. All the storms that come off the African coast and in the Gulf of Mexico really heat up, and they're the big storms. They're the Hurricane Katrinas and the Hurricane Charlies and those kinds, if you're familiar with them. And then it kind of drops off as we get into October. But having said that, hurricanes have and can, tropical cyclones that is, can develop any time of the year. They have done it. They've done it on Christmas Day. They've done it in January. We had some in April a couple years ago. And so when we look at that, now I did get a question. I know this is going to always come up. Well, what about the forecast this season? The Colorado State University has a forecast. The National Hurricane Center has a forecast. The Weather Channel has a forecast of how many storms we think it is. Is it active, above active, below active? It don't matter. It's the one that hits you that counts. It don't matter. So, for example, 1992, Hurricane Andrew, August 24th. August 24th. First name storm of the year. Hit South Miami, did a lot of damage, Category 5 storm. And then we had 2 other storms after that, and that was it. That's not an active season. Last year, was it active or inactive? It was active. It was the exact same number of storms last year it was in 2024. 2024, if you were here for that, we had Hurricane Debbie, Hurricane Helene, and Hurricane Milton come through the area or come by us, uncomfortably by us. But we didn't have any landfalling hurricanes or tropical systems last year here in the United States. But if you lived in Jamaica, you know that Category 5 was the most intense on record, and it did a lot of damage, killed some people. So it's not the forecast that counts, it's the one that hits you. Another term you've been hearing in the news lately is the Super El Nino stuff. Oh, it's good. No, there's no hurricanes this year because of Super El Ninos developing. Don't let that fool you. El Nino is a suppressor of hurricane development, tropical storm development, but it's not a guarantee, and that's not a constant flow of what we call, the winds that suppress the hurricanes. It's not like a constant flow for 6 months. It's in and out, So there's always these avenues that tropical systems can take. But El Nino is something to kind of keep an eye on because, interestingly enough, it's going to be a strong El Nino, and that's going to be more of a threat going into January, February timeframe. Anybody here in 2007? What happened in February 2nd, 2007? Hit a tornado. That was a big tornado, and it killed 22 people. Not here, but from where it formed here in the village of Mallory, went into Lake County and then to Volusia County. That was an El Nino year. I only bring that up just as a precursor to keep an eye on that kind of weather patterns because those tornadoes that form in El Nino, strong El Nino years, always form at night, about 3 a.m. You're sleeping at that time. So and I'll get a little bit more into that. So the first thing I want you to do is know your hazards. I'm not going to dwell on too much of this, but this graphic here is just kind of showing the size of a typical hurricane, a very good symmetrical circulating hurricane. And of course, everybody concentrates on the little spot called the eye. And then around the eye, there's these hurricane force winds, which is depicted here by the red circle. And then the yellow circle is the tropical storm force winds. So I know it's kind of hard to see in the back, but the outer band, the outer edge of the storm is pretty much all tropical storm winds. Remember, tropical storm winds are 39 miles per hour. In fact, there's a chart here that talks each level of hurricane, starting with a tropical depression, storm, Category 1 through Category 5. The National Hurricane Center was toying with the idea several years ago of developing a Category 6. Why? Because we've had more Category 5s in the last X amount of years than we've had in the 200 years of history recording. We had every storm that formed last year as a hurricane, that became a hurricane, became a Category 5 except one. When I started this and going into right before the 2004 season, hurricanes, and especially Category 5 hurricanes, weren't that frequent. They were not that frequent. What happened? I don't know. But it's happening more, they're stronger, and they're affecting more people, more population. Why is that? Because people keep moving to the villages and to the coastal areas of the southeast United States. Exposure, that's all it's about. Okay. Wind and water are the two main hazards that we talk about. Wind being straight line winds from the tropical system itself, whether it's a tropical storm all the way through a Category 5. And then you got the potential for tornadoes. The other one is water, flood water, mostly from poor drainage areas and low-lying areas like rivers and streams and lakes and those kinds of things. Now, I know some of you are not familiar with the entire county of Sumter. However, on the top left-hand corner here, that is the village of Mallory. That was the tornado in 2007. Well, that's not a hurricane, Dave. Yeah, I know, but it is similar in this case. You know, with the strong type storm. The graphic on the right, top right, is the Withlacoochee River in 2004. You know where the Withlacoochee River is? Some do, some don't. That's the border between us and Hernando and Citrus County. That's a river that runs from the Green Swamp, the Withlacoochee State Forest down south, and goes north. That's our border. Those are homes there. There may not be your homes, but there are homes there, and that's part of my program. And then the two bottom ones are from Hurricane Irma. That was a kind of typical damage that we saw throughout the county in 2017. So I want you to, again, think wind and water, and especially water. I live in Sumter County. We're inland. We are so far away from the coast that we can never get a hurricane. I hear that constantly. Or it won't be that bad. It'll be a Category 4, but by the time it hits us, it'll be a tropical storm or something along those lines. This is Hurricane Charlie in 2004. That was a large tornado, basically, all the way through. It diminished. You can see those yellow rain bands and the red bands. That was wiping out Highlands County, DeSoto County, a little bit of Osceola County. A lot of Osceola County, a little bit of Orange County, and it kind of degraded as it exited. But, from Arcadia all the way over, it was terrible. I worked that down south and did some help out there. I've never, I would say that was my first experience with that level of damage from a hurricane. This is this is Hurricane Francis. This actually came from another direction. It came from the Atlantic Ocean. And you can see, based on the yellow circle, that's the tropical storm force winds, which did reach Sumter County. And you can see the entire wind field basically covers the peninsula of Florida. This is same year, just as Hurricane Jeannie, or Jeannie, depends on how you want to say it. That was a kind of a unique storm. It kind of just watch that circle, and then you see how it kind of falls apart, but it's not really falling apart as a hurricane as much as it's becoming almost like a derecho for those out from the Midwest. When that opened up, it just forced all that wind out. So there's just all kinds of different things. So my point is, each tropical cyclone has its own personality and its own set of hazards. Hurricane Charlie, the first one, was all wind, very, very little rainfall, flooding, and very little storm surge. Francis was a lot of wind, but a lot of rain. And this one is both. It was both. It just kind of whatever happened between the first two storms, this one just kind of exacerbated the entire thing. So visually, I just want you to see that we're not so far inland that we're protected by the 7 Indian mounds of the Seminole Indian tribe. That's just not the way it works here. However, if you want to know the last time we got hit with a Category 2 storm, that was in 1921. You remember that? 1921? Who remembers that? Look at these pictures. What is that called? That's called growth. So in 1921, there was nothing but trees and farmland and maybe some citrus trees. Now you go from the top of the right-hand corner of those pictures and go all the way down past the bottom of the picture and continue on. That's the villages. More people are being exposed to the wind and water hazards. Okay. Well, we live so far inland that, even a storm passing in the Gulf is going to not worry us. This is Tropical Storm Debbie. It wasn't a well-defined system, and it is going towards the north. We're not even in the cone. We're outside the cone if you watch the graphics on TV. You see the rain bands kind of setting up over the peninsula of Florida and kind of scooping up and pushing north. And you could see that, Sumter County, had those heavy thunderstorms that hit us. We fared it very well, but we had a couple issues. But more importantly, right here, this little X, I know it's hard to see, but that little X is Highlands County near Lake Okeechobee. They weren't in the cone. No hurricane warning or tropical storm warning, nor tornado watches or tornado warnings. Nothing to really worry about except maybe some severe thunderstorms popping up, but we see that all the time in summer. Mom and baby were outside and playing in the yard. Tornado touches down, picks up mom and baby and throws them into a tree, kills mom. No warning, nothing. The point here is we can see impacts, especially now because we're seeing it more often, more stronger. We can see impacts from any of these storms that's in our neighborhood, far-reaching outside of the predicted, forecasted zones, cones, whatever you want to call it. So you always have to keep an eye on these things, and you just have to understand a little bit about weather and listen to the weather broadcast a little bit more importantly. So the second thing is you need to make a plan. How many have a disaster plan or a hurricane plan? A couple of you? Yeah, not many hands. Okay, I didn't mention that. I failed to mention that is I work for the Board of County Commissioners. My boss is Bradley Arnold. He's going to come by in a couple months to talk to you. I'm a government employee, so don't hold that against me. But I am a government employee. I'm local county emergency manager. And what I hear a lot of times after an event, it doesn't matter what it is, I always hear it, and that is, well, why didn't you respond better? Why did it take so long? Why did these resources come faster? How many have read my disaster plan? Cliff, you read my disaster plan? Wow. Is your name in it? It's not in it? Okay. How about your address? Here's the thing. Your puppy's not my plan. Your cat's not my plan. Your elderly parent that's on a CPAP machine and oxygen CPAP, and in a wheelchair by herself is not in my plan. They're not. You are not. You. Florida. You all. And all y'all. So when I write my disaster plan, it's not for you or you all. It's for all y'all. All y'all is a very generic term for everybody and anybody, but we don't get down to that granular level that deals with all your issues. If you read the state disaster plan, it doesn't mention Sumter County. And if you read the federal disaster plans, it doesn't mention Sumter County or the state of Florida, with a few exceptions. So why is that? Well, our disaster plans are for us, meaning how Sumter County government is going to respond. It's about how the fire and law enforcement and EMS and the hospitals and public works, what are their roles and responsibilities and what are their procedures to respond to help all y'all. Clear the roads, open shelters, evacuate, curfews, all kinds of things. If you look at the state, it doesn't have county's name in it, but we write them at the local, state, and federal level so they plug and play. If you just told me you don't have a disaster plan, you're going to go like this. And then you're going to yell at me for not being effective and efficient in my response. When you're out there trying to cut a tree down from the roof in a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops. And you're going to get hurt. And you're going to get dehydrated. Think about these things. This is the reality of stuff. This is what we see. The fact that you see Jim Cantore or somebody in the media doing in the shot in the video, and the wind's going by, that's not reality. That's somebody doing something pretty stupid. But the reality is, when you get affected, you're going to have to deal with the aftermath. And if you don't have this all figured out, then you're going to be behind power curve, and you might not be successful. I'm not going to tell you what has to be in your disaster plan, but what I will tell you, because it's in the book, you need to have, it doesn't have to be a thick binder full of material. It could be just a simple checklist like this one here, as it demonstrated. You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to, where are you going to go? Who do you need to contact? Who do you let know your before, during, and after what's happening to you? Do you need to make special arrangements, like get extra medicines? Do you need to refrigerate your medicines? Do you need to have medicines for your animals, your pets? Do you have enough medicine, or do you need to call the pharmacy and get some extra supplies? Do you have some type of backup power in case your power goes out for 2 weeks in August and September? No air conditioning, no CPAP machine, no oxygen concentrator, no fuel, and no toilet paper. Oh, I did there. Planning considerations. I said a few of these already. Think about no internet, no ATMs, no money. Cash is king. You're not going to be able to use email possibly. Your phones may not work. This is total blackout. I think I can safely say, kind of remember back in the day when we didn't have the internet and we can go outside. We maybe had rolling blackouts every once in a while just because the infrastructure wasn't the way it is now. We knew how to open the windows. We knew how to change the tire on the car. Our society now has either forgotten all that or doesn't even know how to do it. So these are your considerations. How long can you stay in a home in 90 plus degrees weather, a heat index of 105 with no running water? Yeah, that might be actually true. Oh, I live in the villages. We don't have power outages in villages because all our stuff's underground. Up to the transmission lines, the substations. Once the substations go backwards and they go into those big lines over the golf fields, the golf courses, those are transmission lines. They go down, you're out with power for months. So don't get fooled by the we live in the villages concept. Yes, you are more protected. You have something going for you that a lot of people don't. But just don't be fooled by that, because you'll get caught without, and then you're going to get upset and say, well, SECO, Duke Energy, you should have had a better plan. They did. They put it all underground. The tree broke it. Oh, gosh. Charging your phone. Oh, my God. Such an issue. No internet and charging your and having no ability to charge your phone. I don't know if you have grandkids or children that rely on that stuff, but if you ever seen a 14-year-old freak out because they can't play games, yeah, that's a sociological issue that you're going to have to run into. So think about these things. Do you need to evacuate? I got to address this. Anybody live in a mobile home? Anybody live in a tiny house? RV? You live in a villages in a site-built home or villa? Stay home. I don't care what category it is, stay home. I kind of got ahead of myself, but let me ask this question. Would you all consider leaving for a tropical storm coming our way? Yes? Some no? A lot of seeing no's. There's a few, okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Would you go for a Category 5 storm? Channel X News is saying, Category 5, this is a biggie. This is the Hurricane Melissa like we saw last year in Jamaica. Would you go? Okay. Fun fact. All Category 5 storms were tropical storms 3 days prior to landfall. You're not going to go for a tropical storm, maybe one. You're going to go for a Category 5. When are you going to make that decision, and where are you going to go, and when are you going to go? I cannot answer that for you. That's your decision. When are you going to make that decision? When are you going to go, and where are you going to go? Okay. You say, I'll wait for Tom Terry to move the cone. That happens every 6 months in these every 6 hours in these advisories. I'm just going to wait because I know, that the Seven Hills of the Seminole Indian tribe is going to do some magic for us, and it just doesn't happen. And then you're like, oh no, I need to do something now. Hey, let's go out and get some gasoline. Oh no, let's go to the store and get the batteries. Let's evacuate. I-75, Hurricane Irma, 2017. This is not us. This is here on the interstate, but it's not us. That's South Florida. If you look at the track, guess what Hurricane Irma did? It went from the Caribbean through Cuba and the Florida Straits, hit South Florida, Monroe County, the Florida Keys, went first. And then Miami, because the track was so wonky, they couldn't get a handle on where it was going to go. So, West Florida and South Florida are all getting on the turnpikes, I-75 and I-95, and this is what happened. When they get here, what are they doing? Well, not only are they stopped, but they're also getting off the interstate, getting our gasoline. When are you going to go, and what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Are you going to compete with that? 2 miles in 12 hours. If you have an electric vehicle, your electric vehicle is going to get pushed to the side of the road. If you have a gasoline vehicle, we might be able to roll it. But an electric vehicle is going to get pushed and damaged if we can make that happen. We can't be successful with the growth that we have here in Florida. So this is why I say stay home. If you live in a site-built home, and I'll give you another reason here in a minute, but don't try to compete with that. You're going to get hurt doing this, most likely than the other stuff. Okay, the National Weather Service updates this graphic every year or so. This is the recorded fatalities from the last 200 years of tropical cyclones. And what you see here is more than half are due to freshwater flooding. But before I talk about that, look at how many people, the percentage-wise, how many people are dying from surfing and rip currents. How many here plan on surfing in a storm surge? How many are going to go swim in a coastal area in a storm surge? Okay, so 16%'s gone. We don't have to worry about that, right? And the 11% are people that live near the coast that are going to get inundated with storm surge that refuse to evacuate. They need to go. They need to evacuate. Anybody live on the coast? You might have a second home, but Okay, so take that 11%. The 55% is you all. If you get in your golf cart or you get into your car and you try to drive through floodwaters that's moving at a very high rate of speed and you can't see what's underneath the water, that big dip in the ground, we call ground depressions, you call them sinkholes, or the washouts, those are the people that are dying. It's not the people in the wind. There's a little fatality figure here for the wind and tornadoes. But most of the people, 90% of people that are being killed or injured are due to bad decision making in water. Stay home. You don't need to go. Yes, you're going to be uncomfortable. You might get some damage to the house. But your houses are built to a new building code that we learned after 1992 on Hurricane Andrew that said those houses that survived Hurricane Andrew did well due to the Southern building codes. We made it statewide. So that's why we have the building codes we have now. In your plan, I want you. This is kind of the exception. We do have a special needs program. So there are people who can't just stay home. They're electrically dependent. Maybe they're elderly on their own, frail, has some cognitive issues. We do have a special needs shelter that we can take them to, transport them, and it'll be staffed by doctors and nurses and from the health department that can give them medical oversight. We have a brand new shelter that's opening up next week. It's called the Gloria Hayward Service Center down in Sumterville, which is just near Middleton, right there at the corner of 301. And that's the new special needs shelter. The guide says it's the Wildwood Community Center. That is ending this week. That's going to go shift down south. We'll take care of the transportation and the oversight. And there's a lot of information in the guide about the program and how to sign up for it. But you can also go to our website, sumterprepares.com, and it will have a link there that you can either fill out a form or print a form and send it to the health department in the instructions. All shelters are pet friendly. We do have shelters. We have 6 of them. They are all pet friendly. 5 of them are general population, and the 6th one is the special needs shelter. You can go to a shelter if you want. You're not going to get turned away. If you've never been into a hurricane shelter, just get on the floor. That's what it's going to be like. And eat some donuts. This slide just says, hey, there's this thing coming. Well, let's keep an eye on it. Let's get, if we have a family of 4, 3, whatever, or just maybe 2 of us, somebody needs to be responsible for tracking the hazard, the storm, and then maybe checking the batteries, checking the smoke detector, using the fire extinguisher, protecting the home. I'll get a little bit more into this here in a second, but this is where your disaster plan kind of has that outlined. Who's going to do what and when? Triggers. I have a timeline that I have written out, literally, a 5-day timeline. Actually, it's more than that, but the 5-day prep time is, the 5-day pre-impact time frame, I should say, is 5 days out. So day 5, 120 hours, I'm monitoring the cyclone. I'm looking at the advisories. We're paying attention to it. 4 days out, I'm doing the same thing, but now I'm talking to the state and National Hurricane Center. I'm looking at the probabilities of the wind impacting us. I've got tools and graphics. 3 days out, oh my goodness, it hasn't changed. Tom Terry didn't change it for us. It's coming towards us, it looks like. We need to make some decisions at the 3-day mark. And then at 2-day mark, we got to open shelters and close government and schools to get the shelters open and get the kids out. And we have to do all these things. It's a nice little timeline. And then when start, and then we go from there. Your goal is to do all that stuff before the winds start. You remember the circles, the yellow circle? Your goal is to get everything you done preparatory-wise before the yellow circle impacts your county, your area. Not the center of the storm. And that creates a false sense of security when you look at the graphics on television, because the only dot you see there is the center of the storm, not the entire circumference. Quick math. We have a storm in the Gulf of Mexico. It's 600 miles out in the ocean, out into the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America. So Tom Terry says it's 600 miles from Sumter County. It's moving to the east towards Sumter County at 10 miles per hour. How long do we have? What's that? 60. I hear 60. Wrong. Nope. What did I say? The center of location is 600 miles away, not the storm field. Typical storm field from the center to the outer edge is 300 miles. So you factored that in, now what? Now you're looking at 45 hours, right? So you just killed yourself 15 hours of prep time by just concentrating on that center of location. You need to learn more and practice. I can go on and on about what you should do, and I'll answer some questions. I'm kind of running low on time, and that was the big push to this. But you cannot go through this without some type of practicing. Write it down, get a checklist together, talk to each other about it. Yeah, mentally practice it. Maybe practice a little bit in reality. Let's put up those shutters. Let's put up let's fill the water bladders. Let's go to the store and buy batteries. Whatever it is, you just go through those motions now. Don't wait till me say evacuate or shelters open, or Tom Terry says you got 10 hours before you need to complete your activities. Get the fuel, all that stuff. By the way, on fuel, the new mantra for fueling your vehicle at this time of year, get it when it gets to a half a tank, fill it up. Half a tank, fill it up. That way you're not stressed out. And it also relieves some of that pressure on our fuel systems. So again, remember what I just said earlier. What I do 6 months out of the year, well, more than that, but typically 6 months out of the year from January through June, up to June, is I'm developing plans, revising plans, procedures, talking to the public, talking to my response mechanisms, training them on how to take a command of an incident, how to operate in an emergency operations center, how to set up a shelter, how to set up a points of distribution, all these logistical things that we go through. And we do it every year. Not everything every year, but we do something every year. And it makes everybody else mad because it takes the blue skies out of their day. Okay. Get a supply kit. That's number 3. I'm not going to go through what you need in your supply kit. It's in the brochure. It's also on our website. You've probably heard it before. But I do want you to have that in that checklist of things you're going to need to either have ready to go or you're going to need to get quickly. For example, you can get flashlights and batteries and those kinds of things at the beginning of hurricane season, put them in a tote bag just like this. Get some shelf-stable meals now. Get some supplies for dealing with flooding and cleanup and those kinds of things. But every once in a while, and you want it in a checklist, but every once in a while something's going to be taken out of the tote and used for something else throughout the season or throughout the year, and it's going to get misplaced. Having it on that checklist says, oh, the flashlight's not here. What happened to the flashlight? Well, I used it last night. It's in the kitchen drawer. That belongs here, and so you have to kind of go through that motion. And the big thing now is we used to say have 3 to 5 days of stuff. No, 14 days. Without power, without any internet, and without ATMs and all that stuff, you're gonna need to really think about this. I'm not saying going crazy. I'm not saying you have to get Spam. I'm not saying you have to get the military ready-to-eat meals. But there are versions of it that might be all right. But, there are things now that you can get. And do it now while you can, while it's cheap. Because when the run happens, they're going to go quickly and the prices are going to soar. They're not supposed to, but they're going to. Don't forget, cash is king. All your important documents you should have in a safe box that you can either take with you or at least have it protected. I also recommend for those that are computer savvy to get a USB drive, digitize all your important documents, put it on that drive, and have it with you have it on you when you need it. Because what's going to happen is if you have to file a claim with the insurance company, then they're going to ask you to send it through email. Let's see what kind of time we got here. Oh, okay. Don't forget the special supplies for your animals, for your children, grandchildren, and your special needs, your functional needs. Functional needs is a little different. That's like a person that's blind, but they're self-sufficient. Maybe they have a cane or whatever. And there's a little fly hanging around me. I'm a government employee. Don't worry about it. And then, of course, your pets. Mark your calendar. Get those supplies now and replenish them, refresh them every 6 months. We used to say, we still do kind of, change your supplies when you change the time on your clocks, for daytime savings. That's still true, but now the smoke detectors and those types of things have 10-year life batteries on them now, so it's kind of hard to do that. But still, it's kind of the same thing. Stay informed. Stay informed kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Somebody's got to be watching this stuff and listening to the radio and watching the television. And I'm not talking about some internet sensation that's going around chasing this stuff. I'm talking about credible sources. The Tampa media market and the Orlando media market works very well here in the Orlando area, Tampa area. Our messages are consistent and they're not they're not exacerbated. They're not hyped. We worked very honestly and earnestly for the last several years to make sure that if you see Tom Terry or Tony Manolfi or somebody from Spectrum 13, or somebody from Channel 8 in Tampa, that we're all on the same level. You go to the internet and you see YoBlo weather page, and you got to be careful with that stuff, especially with AI now. AI will fool you very easily. So I want you to get a weather radio. There's a picture in the middle of your brochure, but I have one up here. And this will answer the question, why don't we have tornado sirens? Tornado sirens are not like, they don't work as well here in Florida as they do out in the Midwest, mostly because of salt air, birds, insects, squirrels, and humidity. They just deteriorate very quickly. So this is our siren system. It's a simple radio. It's on all the time. We used to call it marine band weather.
A chance of showers and thunderstorms.
It's on. I'm not going to turn it off. I'm just going to silence it. It's not off. It's still receiving the signal. But at some point, and I know some of you hate this thing, but at some point, it goes off. Same technology as the sirens out in Midwest. Actually, it's better technology. Same type of technology in terms of getting the message out to you. This will tell you, you'll hear it. Sorry, push another button here.
Time is 7:56 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
It will tell you on the screen, tornado warning, hurricane warning, whatever. If you are blind, you can hear it. If you are deaf, you can, and you still can see, then you can put a strobe light on this. You can put it into your accessible devices, pillow shakers, whatever. Same thing with smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. Works same technology. This will tell you. They're getting better and better over this. This device, this signal,
Degrees, the dew point 74.
you're hearing that because of the villages. This is the transmitter that this is coming from is in Sumterville, middle of the county. We didn't have one in 2007 when the tornadoes came through, so most people did not get the warning. So the villages bought the transmitter. The National Weather Service got it installed, and I pay the bill on it. So get one of these. This is yours. We didn't have this in 2007. We have it now. Take advantage of it. You can get them at any big box stores, about $35-ish. Make sure it has the siren, the alert feature on it. Don't get the crank ones that do nothing. A lot of people buy the crank ones, and when they try to say, "Oh, I'm looking for the test siren," there is none. There's no channel selector. This has a channel selector. If you're familiar with the expos that we have, the Villages Hurricane Expo, we help program these. You can take these to any of the fire station here in the villages and get it programmed. They work out of the box, but they can be narrowed down just for Sumter County, Sumter Lake and Marion. Okay. I'll answer questions here in a minute. I want you to sign up for Alert Sumter. Another page in here talks about Alert Sumter. You see this graphic up here. It's a telephone notification system where we'll call you and let you know something's up. It's kind of like we used to call reverse 911. So take a look at that. See if some of you are on it. And then, of course, Smart 911 is a program that we have that will that you can sign up for on the computer, to make an account, and say, "Hey, Dave, my name's Dave Castro. I'm blind. I don't speak English. I have a dog named Lucky with 3 legs." All that stuff will pop up when you call 911. Okay, and then, real quick, get an insurance checkup. Talk to your insurance agent about what is deductible, homeowner's deductible, what is a hurricane deductible, and does flood insurance cover me? The only thing I'll say about flood insurance, flood does not mean water from the river or from the lake or a pond. It means water coming from the outside to the inside of your home, regardless of the cause, with the exception of maybe a broken window. But if you get water coming through the lanai, through the front door, through the garage, any of that just due to poor drainage, that is a flood. We all live in a flood zone. You just don't have to have flood insurance if you don't have a mortgage. Strengthen your home. This is another picture of a house in 2007 in the Villages. If you compare that to a Category 3 or 4 storm or higher, this home was not protected for that. The windows were not protected, and and everything else just kind of fell into place. So you still have to protect the home. Go to a home improvement store and talk to them about the ways to protect your windows and the structure and whatnot. And finally, the last seventh tip is help your neighbor. Neighbor helping neighbor. You have a good program here in the village. It's called the Community Emergency Response Team. You have Neighbor Helping Neighbors and Helping Hands and all those other programs that are here. You've got the Property Owners Association. You've got your clubs. You've got all kinds of mechanisms here to where you can help each other, because you're going to be the first responders. You're going to go and help your neighbor before, during, and after before we will. And it's not to say we can't. We're just going to get inundated. Okay. There's a lot more I can say. I don't have any more time. I know that. And so I'll just answer any questions you might have, and we'll keep it brief. So you want to do the microphone thing? I think she's up first.
You know, one thing, if I might, before they go on, if I can mention, 2007, I had retired from the government about 5 years earlier, and I was a National Government Liaison Officer for National Disasters. I continued that when I came down here, and when the tornadoes hit at 3:15 a.m., the first thing I noticed, I got called up and I went over to Mallory. Houses were destroyed, debris everywhere, wires sparking everywhere, and out of nowhere came what we like to call the Dumbass Photographers Club. Everybody came out with their cell phones, they came out with their cameras, they're walking around in puddles with electric wires everywhere, taking pictures. That is the last thing you want to do during a disaster, because you never know what you're going to step into.
Yeah, and
Fortunately, nobody was injured, but they came awful close.
and the worst part about it is the looky-loos, as I call them, block the access to for their first responders and
Exactly
those that
right.
are helping out.
Yep.
So yes, ma'am, did you have a question? Or no, you're just helping out. Okay, yes, sir.
I'm just wondering, they claim things like your lanai windows are Cat 3 and the houses are Cat whatever. Is there a level that the houses are theoretically built for now? 3.
Yeah, for our area, the wind load that we're built to, the building code says to a Category 3 storm, 130 mile an hour winds. If you want to go higher to protection, then you would get the hurricane impact type glass for your windows and the reinforced doors and those kinds of things. If you have a good, your contractor windows are rated to the Cat 3. When it comes time to replace your windows, as I'm finding out, you can get better windows, but they don't have to be that hurricane impact windows. They could just be heavier windows that are better designed. And of course, if you want, you can always have a contractor just do a quick overview of the home and look at the bracing of from the roof structure to the walls and other things. Yeah. Mitigations. Yep.
Anybody else?
I know it's late. Oh, maybe one back there. Back in the back.
Oh, hold on.
You know, I just thought about it. I could have grabbed a donut and used that as an example.
I was working for the developer at the time when that tornado came through, and I remember that Gary Morris got all the contractors out and to go to Mallory and get all the tarps on the roofs and all that sort of thing. And one of the things that happened was Katie Couric came down with her news team. There was so little going on here, they left and went somewhere else. But Gary was very responsible for getting everybody out there and getting things safe.
Yeah, and then that's a testament to the village's community concept, the concept of helping the community and getting things quickly done. But I'm sure Gary probably in his mind had a really good response plan in his mind for that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you advise getting those things they sell to put over the windows?
Yeah, I do. The shutters, they're called shutters. So there's different types of shutters. I don't necessarily advise us to go out and get those big 5/8 inch plywood boards to put on the window. They're heavy and very awkward. But you can get the what I call the accordion style. You just put them up. You get them in. You pre-install your framework, your braces, and you just put them up, and they're light, and lock them in. There's other ones you can get electrically that you push a button and it'll drop down your protection. Those are a little pricey, but if you have the money, there's a good investment. Don't buy that plastic stuff where you Velcro onto your window. Don't put an X with masking tape. Don't open the windows. Don't crack them.
Do you suggest or have a suggestion for the last time it was really windy down here? It was last year, and another time water came in the bottom of my front door, and it was coming in. I just happened to get up, and it was all smushy. What should you put down? You know, because it's under a thing, but the way the water was blowing, the wind was blowing, it was coming in.
Yeah. So the old answer would be, get some sand and sandbags, but that's hard to do, and you're not going to get much out of that anyway. I use a product. You can get it off the internet, or you can get it from any home improvement store. If you've ever driven around and see road construction where they're building something and they put those black tubes in the storm drains to keep the debris from getting in there, there's something similar that is sold that you can get at a home improvement store. And what it does is you can lay it out flat, and then when water hits it, it'll expand, becomes like a sandbag, and then when it dries out, it contracts, and you can reuse it. So you can get short ones and long ones, and you can build a tom. That's what I use. That's what I learned because I had the same exact thing. I don't know if I forgot who I was telling about. I had the same thing in 2017, and that's where I learned about the insurance, flood insurance piece. Yeah, I'll right off.
Anybody else?
Oh,
Wow.
Everybody wants donuts. Okay.
I want to say, David, thank you. This was really important. And for those of us that were here for a while during the tornado in 2007 and all the hurricanes, and we have had hurricanes come through here.
We have.
So this is really good information. We need to heed what he said and be prepared. And don't do what my wife made me do, but we evacuated once, and the hurricane followed us.
Oh, that was Charlie. That was
So
Charlie.
that was the wrong mistake. I should have stayed in my house. So anyways, thank you, buddy. Thank you guys for coming. We got donuts and coffee in the back, and hopefully we'll see you next month at Hacienda. Thank you.
Yeah. That program is kind of like this. Yeah. With the